Hello, everybody. Nikki Heidebrecht here. I'm an independent sales consultant and senior vice president sales leader with Norwex. And I am really excited to share a little bit about the Norwex in-home party. I fell in love with the Norwex party almost 11 years ago. My very first introduction to Norwex was in someone's living room at an in-home party, which I think is part of the reason that I love them so much, is because that's how I fell in love with Norwex. And I, just to give a little bit of background, went to my first party. No intentions whatsoever on purchasing anything, definitely not looking for a business. And I completely fell in love with these products, and not only these products, but this company. So I wanted to share a little bit, just some tips and some ideas of how you can go about doing an RX party and maybe how you can make sure that it's going to be something successful. But first, just wanted to touch a little bit on what I love about the in-home party. First, just kind of get out of the way, because some of you I know may be doing your business completely online. Maybe you've never tried an in-home party, or maybe you do kind of a hybrid. So there definitely is no wrong way to party. I have some reasons that I think the in-home party for me is a better option. But I also love that we have the opportunity to kind of do a mix of things, right? That we can do our business online, we can do our business in somebody's living room, and we can kind of mix those two things together. And you could even host a party where you're doing something in the living room and also have something online for the same party. So we really do have options. But one of the things, or I think some of the benefits of doing an in-home party, are that you do not have to compete with all the noise that we sometimes find online, right? We know that when we do an online party, they can be amazing, and yet you still have sometimes a hard time getting people into the groups, or maybe they forget about it entirely. Who's been to a party like that, right? Where you are participating in a party online, you're actually interested, and then you get sidetracked by something and you completely forget to go back to it. I know it's happened to me many times. Whereas that rarely happens in someone's living room, right? You don't get invited over to someone's house and then go into their living room for the party and then wander off into the backyard or go over to the neighbors and forget what you were doing. That doesn't really happen, right? So you do kind of have this scenario where you have your hostess and her guests full undivided attention, and they really are choosing to be there because, to some degree, they are interested in what we have to offer. So I really like that kind of captive audience element of the in-home party. Also, you really have this strong kind of social selling environment, right? Where the other people in the room, especially those that maybe have purchased Norwex before or currently using the products, they'll really sell it for you. And this happens so beautifully when you're sitting in someone's living room, and it's super easy as the consultant to be able to use that as a kind of bulk and main part of the party. A large part of my in-home parties are letting the guests actually share about the products they love, and I'll springboard off of what it is that they're sharing. And a lot of times their friends and even the women around them that maybe they don't know are much more likely to believe them when it comes to what they love about the product than maybe me, because they might assume that I'm just going to say that I love everything. So I do find that you can kind of create that in a online social media type environment, but it's much easier to do when they're all in the room, they're all listening to somebody share maybe a testimony. And it's just a really conducive environment to that. Also, just the physical ability to touch and see product, right? I love the videos that we get. Norwex does an amazing job of giving us videos to post. We can put, before and after pictures. There's a lot of ways that we can bring this into our in-home party, but there is something about physically touching product, right? Seeing something, feeling it, feeling the difference between the EnviroCloth that I'm passing around the room compared to just maybe seeing it, right? So, and I think for some people, they are more likely to purchase if they've physically seen something and even physically touched it. So there's a lot of benefits. And for me, it's just the fun in general. I think that's the biggest reason that I like doing the in-home parties, is there really is a fun element. There's something about sitting in a room with people and physically being able to see that light bulb go on for them when you share with them information about the harmful effects of chemicals. I find the fun factor of it huge, and that may not be the case for everybody. But I would encourage you, if you've never given it a try, never had a chance to do it, try it, because you might just fall in love with it. And maybe it's not for you, and that's okay, right? But we never know until we actually give something a try. So, getting into more of the nuts and bolts of a party, once you get somebody to say, hey, you know what, I'd like to have one, or if you can't find somebody, you decide, you know what, I'm going to host a party in my own home as a way to kind of grow my business. What do you do from there, right? And I always looked at building a party or deciding what you're going to do at a party kind of like writing an essay. And maybe you can't relate to this. I always liked writing in school, but we always know that our writing is kind of, or a written piece of work, something like an essay. You're going to have an introduction, you're going to have your main body, and you're going to have a conclusion. Kind of the basic elements to all good writing, right? And I think a party is very similar to that. So it is important to have a little bit of a structure. I don't think you want to be too rigid with what it is that you're doing, but it is a good idea to kind of have a rough idea as to what you want the party to look like and what you want to do through the evening that you are meeting with your guests. So for me, an introduction is really about grabbing attention, right? It's about getting the ladies that are there, or the people that are there, excited about what you're about to share with them. Getting them to know a little bit about you, a little bit about the company. And this is really, for me, the way where I like to have the most audience participation, right? Have my guests involved. Now, if you are nervous about public speaking, which is extremely common, don't let that be the reason that you stop or you choose not to do an RX party. I know consultants that will sit down right in the living room with their guests in the circle with the products all around them on the floor and do their party that way. You don't necessarily have to be standing up in front presenter style. That's how I like to do it. But you can really do this in any way and in the way that works. But you do want to be the one kind of leading things and helping things along. So I like to start mine by introducing myself, a little bit about why I joined Norwex, and telling the guests that they're going to be having fun, right? I start out by telling them, this is going to be a fun time for you. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. And then I have them share, usually introduce themselves, because sometimes not everyone in the room knows each other. Get them to go around and have them share if they have a favorite Norwex product, what is it and why. And if they don't have an Norwex product, I always say that they should give me a cleaning challenge. What's something that you find a struggle? And I always say you can't say your kids, your husband, or everything. Kind of gets a laugh. But what this does is, it first of all, it makes people comfortable, right? They're engaging, they're having fun. But also what happens is, before the party's even started, I have talked about, or there has been talked about, however many products, if not many more, because sometimes people have a hard time keeping it to just one, with the guests in the room. So we've gone through a ton of products, and as they're sharing, they might say something like, they might not even know what the product is called. They're like, oh, I have this face cloth thingy and it does an amazing job of taking off makeup. I can then add to what they're saying is their favorite and share a little bit more about the product. And if I have it with me, I'll hold it up, and then I don't even need to go through it during my presentation. But before the presentation even starts, we've gone through sometimes 10, 15 products, and they're very excited about it. Something that I've also done many times in my party, and this is a good way for you to give your guests something physical to do, because sometimes people need that, like something in their hands, is I'll give them a piece of paper to make a wish list. A fun way to do this, I've done this many times, not my own idea, something that I took from another consultant, is I get them to make a little tic-tac-toe board, or I always say a tic-tac-toe board or a hashtag, depending on your age. That's big on the middle of the paper, and I tell them that as we're going through the party, if you hear me talk about something, or you hear a guest talk about a product and even remotely interests you, write it in one of your quadrants, because this will act as a bit of a wish list, but we'll also do a game with it at the end. And I will keep reminding them about that tic-tac-toe board through the party as I'm talking about products. And I want them to have 9 things on there at the end, so that they have a wish list, but also I can see what would most interest them, so we can talk about maybe them booking their own party. Okay, so that's how I start the party. Then I go into the products. So this is where you want to decide, what kind of party are you doing? Is this a basic group of people that you want to go through? I always go through the Safe Haven 5, or at the very least the household pack, because those are our flagship products. And I find, even if people have been to many, many products, or many, many parties, having a little bit of a refresher of what makes the microfiber work, what's backlock, how do you launder these products, that can be really helpful. I'll often share another collection of products, sometimes things that are maybe on sale or in the hostess package. And I always like to end with something like the body cloth, that I can send someone out of the room with one to go take off their makeup. And I tell them if they come back and tell us how well the body and face cloth worked, that they can take that cloth home for free. So really wanting things to be interactive and fun and kind of moving along. But you can decide what that middle part looks like, right? Maybe you are doing a laundry party, and that's a really great way too to kind of keep things fresh, is to have different themes to what you do. Maybe decide in advance, these are the 5 parties I have to offer. So when you're talking to somebody, you've got something that you can show them as, hey, like, what do you think of this? Is this something you think your friends would be interested in? Or if they've been to a couple parties before, you can offer something new, but without it being overcomplicated. You always have your sort of main things that you do. So the middle is all about your product. And wanted to talk a little bit about those seeds. Maybe this is a word you've heard before, maybe this is new to you. The concept of seeds is these little things that you're kind of sprinkling throughout the party, and they should be everywhere. And I think the more intentional you can be with this, the more in advance you can think through, okay, what are my seeds going to be? How am I going to be mentioning booking throughout the party? It can be something as simple. If we're talking about, there's booking seeds, there's recruiting seeds, like seeds to kind of make someone start thinking about the joining opportunity. So just as a couple examples, if we're talking about our beginning part, right? When you're opening up the party, a booking seed might be, you know what, I'm super excited to be here tonight, and I know you're gonna have so much fun that by the end of this, you're gonna want to do one of these too. Super simple, you move on, right? Or a booking seed might be thanking your host at the beginning of the party. It's, honoring her and showing how much you appreciate her with a small gift. Not only is that, it should be genuine, but it also makes the other people in the room think, this might be a good experience for me, right? I want a gift. Who doesn't want a gift, right? So that can be another way to kind of add little seeds in. Same with throughout the party. If there is something that you were talking about that is in this month's hostess package, mention that. Say, and you know what? You can get this for free as a hostess this month. So lots of ways to throw these in. Same goes with the joining opportunity, right? And these can be very subtle, and they can also be a lot more intentional. So a recruiting seed might be maybe at the beginning of the party, I say, you know what, when I went to my first party, I had no interest whatsoever in joining, but I'm so glad that I said yes because I get to be here with you. So something simple, right? It's kind of soft, but it starts to get people thinking and maybe putting themselves in your shoes and saying, wow, somebody is doing this job and they're really enjoying it and getting a lot out of it. Or something like maybe you're talking about the mop and say, you know what, this is a fantastic item. You can get a booking and recruiting seed all in at once. You can get this mop by ordering it. You can get this mop by joining our team for free. You can have it as a part of the kit, or you can get this mop at a big discount through booking your own party, right? That's a lot more of a direct seed, or seeds, I should say. But just be thinking of ways that you can add these things in and kind of sprinkle them in throughout the party. Statistically, we know that people need to hear things quite a few times before they're kind of ready to make a decision on it, okay? So we moved from the beginning of the party, which was kind of the introduction, the getting to know each other, getting everyone comfortable. The middle is the bulk of the essay, so to speak, the party, all of your information about the product. And the ending is really I think, one of the most important parts of the party. And this is where you get a lot clearer about talking about how they can place an order, how they might want to book a party, and the amazing joining opportunity that we have. And I made a decision a long time ago that my party would always have those 3 elements. I would talk about without shame about the fact that yes, you might want to put an order in. This is a great time to order. There's no pressure, but we've got some amazing products that are going to be well worth it. So that's how I end my parties. I talk about how they're going to order. I show them the specials. I have them printed out with me. I have those items, if possible, there with me so I can show them. Talk about, if there's some kind of special or the spend and gets. Then I talk about the booking opportunity. I show them, again, a printout. This is all the stuff you can earn for free. Tell them what an average hostess with Norwex earns. Tell them that it's completely free, right? That you don't need to spend a ton of money to be able to get get gifted things. If I have somebody in the room who has hosted with me before, I'll ask them, hey, like, Sandra, how was it for you when you hosted? What did you feel like you got out of hosting a Norwex party? And I'll have her share about the benefits of it. I then have some kind of gift or something fun that I'm offering, usually just for that party. And I shake this up. I've done many things over the years. I encourage you to find something as far as a little incentive that sweetens the pot, that makes sense and feels good for you. But I know the value. I know how worth it is for me to gift something in order to get that booking, because a booking is worth significantly more than whatever it is that I'm gifting that night. It's up to you whether you want to send it home with them in good faith, or if you want to say you're going to hold on to it till they host a party, or maybe you want to link it to having a qualified party. That's entirely up to you. One of the beautiful things about this business is it is our business. We get to decide how we want to do it, what we want to offer. But I do suggest having some kind of an incentive that you are offering for booking a party to sweeten the deal. And I'll also let them know. I'll tell them, you know what? I am super appreciative of Jamie for hosting the party tonight. And she does need one booking to be able to unlock some of the rewards. So she can get a big shopping spree just on Norwex, but having that booking is going to help her to be able to get all of this stuff in the package. Would love to do a party with any of you. And then I will again ask them when I do the checkout with each individual consult or customer. And last, a way that I end every single party and have in my in-home parties for many years is I like to play a game called Ask Me About My Job. And there's so many ways that you can do this. Add a recruiting element or a team building and opportunity element into the end of your party. But this is one that's worked for me, and I find it's just a fun way to wrap up. And how it works, it's very simple. I bring a spool of tickets with me and some kind of small prize. And this can literally be something as much as a sample of our laundry soap. It doesn't have to be anything big. And what I tell the guests is this is how I like to end every one of my parties. It's a game called Ask Me About My Job. And what it is an opportunity for you to ask anything you want to know about specifically what I do as a Norwex consultant. So you don't have to, not product questions, but specifically business related questions. And I always make a joke because I get someone to set a 4-minute timer and I tell them, you know what, it's okay if you don't want to ask questions, but if you don't, we just kind of stare awkwardly at each other for 4 minutes and that gets a laugh. But lo and behold, they always ask questions and they always ask the same questions. So try to think through in advance what the kind of questions someone might ask so that you don't feel put on the spot. You can also use the party cards that Norwex has, or you can just talk about it at the end. You can show the flyer for what you get to join, talk about why you joined Norwex, have some pamphlets and some information ready to send home with people who are interested, and end your party that way as well. So I make it a point of asking and talking about it at the end of every single party. And because of that, I've grown a team. And that's one of those things that I think people think is a lot harder than it actually is. It's just like sharing the product, right? We have an amazing business opportunity. And I always say that one of the best things that I have to offer is this business. Our products are amazing, but the business can really transform someone's life as it has for me. So I share it that way. I really do share it as a gift that I have to offer. So don't shy away from it. Just make it a part of what you do. And that way it becomes just a normal part of what you do. And it takes the kind of stress out of it. So that's how I like to kind of format my parties. Hopefully that's helpful. Again, though, you make it your own. If you are a game person, add games into your party. If you are not a games person, maybe have one so that the people in the room that are games people have that element. But maybe you like information and you like stats, and that's what you want to do. Make it your own. Make it unique to you, and do try to make it engaging. Right? I think that we need to make it our own. But we also need to remember that people do not want to sit and listen to 3.5 hours of just a list of stats. They want to engage. They want to see product. Add demos in. The more demos you can do, or actually letting people try, feel, touch the product, the better. That's the stuff I sell at a party. When I pass an optic scarf around, I guarantee someone is going to be going home with an optic scarf on their order form at the end. If I do the butter demo on the window, that's a staple demo. People are going to buy window cloths. So the more we can actually show and let people see and engage, the more interesting the whole thing is going to be. But your party does not need to look like my party. It could be very different, but you just kind of want to hit some of the main elements. And after that, I do the checkout, and that's where I go through with each guest and I work through their order form. I compliment them on the products. I make sure that they're not missing anything. Like maybe they picked, the oven cleaner but didn't get spironets, or the descaler and they maybe didn't know about the shower mitt. So I'll try to make sure that just offering good customer service. I try to have a private space to do checkout if possible. I find it much just a better kind of time of connection, but also my bookings increase when people aren't listening in, right? Because what happens when you're checking out is, and people know that the hostess needs a booking, they're considering it and they think she booked one, so I won't bother, right? Whereas if I'm in a private space, a lot of times I'll end up with 2 3 4 bookings because they're not hearing other people say that they'll book a party. So that's just a little kind of a side tip. But when I'm checking out, that's when I again ask. I make sure their order form is not missing anything, that they don't, they're not eligible for the spend and get and they didn't get it. I tally everything up for them. I ask them, like, have you considered booking a party? How would you feel about booking a party? And try to overcome those objections that maybe they have, because that is my goal when I go to a party, is to leave with a booking, if not multiple bookings. And then I offer them some business information. So I'll ask, what, have you ever considered doing what I do? What did you think about the party? And if they have interest, I'll send them home with a package and set up some time to connect with them again to see if they had any questions. So that's kind of a whole bunch of random information about the party. The big thing is just to remember that it really just is sharing. That's what doing an RX party is. It's getting a group of people together to share what we love, to share what we're passionate about, to do it in a way that's unique and authentic to ourselves, and to be able to have the opportunity to then go out and share with a completely new network of people through those bookings from those parties. So I am a huge fan of the in-home Norwex party. Also a huge fan of the fact that we get to do business also online, that we have the opportunity that I can do a party with people that live thousands of kilometers away from where I live, and still be able to share Norwex. But there is something special to me about being in someone's living room. And if you haven't had a chance to try it, I would challenge you to either be your own booking and do a party for yourself starting in your home, or to ask some friends, hey, can I practice, right? We're always very nice to people that are in training, so use that to your advantage. If you've never done one, ask your friends, hey, would you let me practice? Would you give me an opportunity to kind of get good at this and then give me some feedback about it? They're a ton of fun. The income can be incredible. I have done parties where I've come home with $900. I did one a couple days ago. I guess, but just under $900 for a couple hours of work, which is crazy. Not always the case. But even if I came home with $50 for 2 hours of work is a pretty good hourly income. So I would just encourage you, give it a try. And I always say there's no such thing really as a bad party. I've done a lot of parties in my almost 12 years. I've had a few kind of crazy ones, but almost, I would say, with the exception of maybe just a few, almost every single one of them has been worth my time, whether there is one guest or there's 40 guests. And that's because something good always comes out of it. I've had the chance to share with somebody that maybe didn't know about the product at all, or maybe it was just me, ended up being me and the hostess because no one else showed up, and I was able to build a relationship with her, or to be able to explain to her how to use products in a little bit more detail that she already owned. So I always tell people I'll come for 2 people, I'll come for 30, but I am just thrilled to have the opportunity to share. And I think if you go into it with that mindset that, I'm just here to share, the results are going to come. And it may not be today, but it will come down the road. So my challenge to you, again, if you've never done one, is to get an in-home party on your calendar or be your own booking, and give it a try, because you might just love it as much as I do. So hope everyone's having a great day, and thanks so much for following along with me and learning a little bit about the Norwex in-home party. Take care.